Welcome back to the channel. Here we provide a daily dose of life lessons based on stories from the Bible. Here is today's lesson from the Bible, Life Lessons from Lot's Wife, The Dangers of Looking Back, Genesis 19:26. The story of Lot's wife in Genesis 19:26, where she turns into a pillar of salt after disobeying God's command, might seem harsh, but is packed with deep, timeless wisdom. This short but powerful verse teaches lessons about the dangers of dwelling on the past, the importance of obedience, and the consequences of clinging to worldly things when we're called to greater purposes. The power of obedience. Lot's family was warned by angels to flee Sodom and Gomorrah without looking back. Lot's wife, however, disobeyed that instruction and turned to look at the cities being destroyed. In that moment, she was transformed into a pillar of salt. Obedience to God's commands is a key message here. Sometimes, we are given guidance, nudged toward change, or told to leave certain situations behind for our own well-being. When we ignore these signs or resist, we may end up stuck, unable to move forward. Lot's wife reminds us that there are consequences when we hold on to things God is telling us to release. Letting go of the past. Lot's wife didn't just glance over her shoulder. Her look back was symbolic of her heart's attachment to Sodom. She had physically left the city, but spiritually and emotionally, she wasn't ready to move on. In life, we sometimes find ourselves stuck in a similar position, physically moving forward but emotionally clinging to things, relationships, or even habits that no longer serve us. Dwelling on the past can keep us frozen, just like Lot's wife. Whether it's regret, guilt, or even nostalgia for a time that wasn't so healthy, looking back can prevent us from walking into the future God has prepared. While it's human to reflect, there's danger in lingering too long in places that God has already called us out of. The worldly life versus salvation. The story of Lot's wife also speaks to the tug-of-war between worldly temptations and spiritual salvation. She represents the person who can't fully commit to a life of faith because of a longing for worldly pleasures. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah are often seen as symbols of sin and corruption, and by looking back, Lot's wife showed that she wasn't ready to let go of the evil cities. This struggle is still very real today. We live in a world full of distractions that pull us away from our higher callings. Whether it's materialism, toxic relationships, or bad habits, these things can cloud our judgment and keep us from focusing on what truly matters. The Bible encourages us to be in the world but not of it, a reminder that while we live here, our hearts should be focused on eternal things. Moving forward in faith, the lesson from Lot's wife is ultimately about faith and forward momentum. We can't embrace the new things God has in store if we're stuck in old mindsets or habits. God's plan is always one of progression, of moving forward toward a better life, better choices, and a better relationship with Him. It's not always easy. Leaving behind what's comfortable or familiar can feel scary, but faith is about trusting God's direction, even when the future is uncertain. When Lot's wife looked back, she essentially expressed doubt. In our own lives, we must resist that urge to second-guess where God is leading us. We are called to trust His promises and walk boldly into what's next. Conclusion. Lot's wife serves as a cautionary tale, not just about obedience, but about where we choose to place our focus. If we keep our eyes forward, we open ourselves up to new opportunities, growth, and the fulfillment of God's promises. If we look back, we risk missing out on the fullness of life God intends for us. Life is too short to be trapped in the past. The future holds so much potential if we're willing to let go, trust God's guidance, and keep moving forward. Come back tomorrow for more life lessons of the Bible. Let us know in the comments if this lesson has been helpful to you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell.